Holy shit, what the fuck is going on, everybody? Fuck, hurt you. You'll see me. I will tell you, you'll see me there. This light off. Kind of need that light on for you to see me though. They can't really see shit. I need to get on. Anyways, what's going on, everybody? Long time no talk. Time to make a video, I guess. I don't really know about what. I'm watching some alien shit lately. I got a comment from somebody. I haven't been doing my comment videos lately there about who gives me comments or whatever. But someone gave me after my last video, it was my Spreaker video that uploads to YouTube. But he wrote something about, have you ever checked out Mark Passio and his shit about Anunnaki? So anyways, so I looked into that. Pretty cool. So I started watching some shit about some other shit. And I'm not one to go into the alien shit, because once again, it's like, I am a big proponent and person about, you know, handle your own business before trying to fucking look at conspiracies, because first of all, conspiracies aren't really going to help you out in the long run. They're cool to know about, they're cool to fucking look into and all that, but people start using that shit as an excuse not to get on with their life, fix their life, or do anything about their life. Like, well, what the fuck's the point? And then they start waiting around for said conspiracy to fuck up the world and then, you know, not have to do anything. So I'm not one to look into this kind of stuff. But after trying to research, I won't get into what I was researching, but it was just profound, the amount of stuff out there. Now, I always knew from back in the day, when I was like religiously watching the Higher Self channel, when I actually put out good content all the time, or had good content, one or the other, about Arcturians, Palladians, and all the different shit. And I listened to different people like Dolores Cannon and I forget the other girl named Barbara McKenziak, talking about things from the Draconians to Reticuli, Zeta Reticuli, different things like that. So I always knew this was a possibility, but I just kind of put it all on the back burner for the longest fucking time, because once again, it's like, well, I can look into this shit and I can think the world's gonna end. I can think there's some shape-shifting fucking reptilian aliens, and I could think that there's greys that want to fuck me up, and there's all this other bullshit out there. But it's like, so I just live in fear the rest of my life. So I just kind of never kept looking into it. You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck's the point? And that's still my stance on all this stuff. So I really want to make a video about it, but kind of want to make a video about it. So I don't know if that's what I'm going to talk about or not. I kind of want to for some reason, but I don't think it means anything. Buddy asked me, I won't say what he asked me, everything, but he asked me if I had any videos, because he was talking about how he looks into conspiracy stuff and he wanted to get into magic. And he asked me if there's any of my videos that I can refer him to, because they do have like almost 700 videos. And there was nothing I could do. You know, I couldn't point him to any specific video. So what I did do was point him to Frederick Xavier and sent him the PDF for Cabal and the Great Work of Self-Transformation, if that's what he wants to start. And I hope, you know, maybe that got through to him, and maybe that's what he wants to do. I don't know. To each his own, right? Witchcraft is a little less structured. Ceremonial magic is very structured and organized, and strict rules, and you got to do this every day 4 times a day, and you got to do this at least 1 time a day, and you got to do this a couple times a day, and you know, so there's a lot of structure to ceremonial magic. Versus witchcraft, you can start making circles and do whatever the fuck you want, but I think the structure in ceremonial magic really helps. So I'm going to talk about one of these things I just talked about, either ceremonial magic and the structure, about witchcraft, about starting, about getting off conspiracy, or might even get into aliens. I don't really know. So I'm gonna play my fucking entrance song, and I'm gonna go from there. So yeah, I'll see you on the other side. All right, so for the time being, I won't touch any alien shit. Not that I don't want to. I think it'd be an interesting episode if I did decide to talk about it. But I want to talk a little bit about the structure of ceremonial magic as per the book and curriculum I use, Kabbalah and the Great Work of Self-Transformation by Liam Thomas Christopher, which I was intrigued and introduced by Frederick Xavier, obviously not personally, but I watched his channel and he said this is the book that I literally work out of. And I'll give you guys the book because somebody was asking about books, astrology books and all that. So then he said, well, I'll give you the book that I work out of, and it's a full curriculum from the neophyte to the Zelda grade. And so I was already watching him and starting magic, and then I got that book. And like I've said in previous episodes and podcasts, I started making magic circles and only doing the middle pillar and not really knowing how to do it. I was doing like sigils after that, but I'd like cast my circle, but I had my circle like painted on the ground in my garage, sometimes not even. And then I would cast my circle, and then I would do the Kabbalistic cross. I knew that much, and I'd put myself up in the air, but then I would just do the middle pillar. I had no idea about the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram. And this is all part of this whole structure thing I'm trying to talk about today. There's a lot of structure to it. So even in your ritual, you literally have a structure within your ritual. Like your ritual is structured to the tits. Like you gotta start with casting your circle, and then you gotta do your lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram. And then from there you gotta do you should do your Kabbalistic cross. You start with your Kabbalistic cross after you do your circle, and you declare the temple open. And then you would do your lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram. And this would be the banishing one. Making your room sacred, making your space free from negativity and or positivity, just other energies that could fuck with your ritual basically. So, and the reason why I say it might make a neutral is because the first part you do one lesser banishing that you're doing widdershins counterclockwise around the circle, and that's the way you draw the pentagrams in the air, or pentacles, I forget which one's right. You do it like that because you're trying to get rid of something. And now, knowing what I know, I will set the intention, okay, well, what I want to get rid of specifically on top of everything else is I want to reduce this in my life, because you always banish and invoke. And then I would do my middle pillar, and then you would ask for the thing you're asking for. And by ask, I don't mean like, can you please give me this? I mean like, I'm so fucking grateful that you gave me this. And you're jumping up and down, and you're seeing whatever god of the week. Today's Sunday, so you'd be seeing the sun, you'd be seeing Ra, or Apollo, or Helios, or Mithra, maybe Christ, whoever you want to put as the sun god. You'd be seeing him, and you'd be shaking his fucking hand, thanking him, and however you want to visualize whatever you want to visualize. This is up to you. This part you can alter and do what you want to do with, but everything else has to be structured the way it was. And I think there's a benefit to that, because the more you stick to something somebody's done a million times, and a million somebodies have done it millions of times over the centuries, you got more power in it. So there's more energy given it to it. So it works. And then you would do your lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram again, and this one would be the invoking one. So you banished away the negativity or the bad juju in your fucking house or in your space, and then you're invoking good fucking whatever at that point. Anyway, I'm gonna keep going. Give me a second. I gotta go get something.
I never opened myself this way. Life is ours, we live it our way. All these words I don't just say, and nothing else matters. Trust I seek, and I find in you. Every day for us something new. Open mind for a different view, and nothing else matters. Oh yeah.
explained so far is your neophyte. So basically, after you shake hands with Ra, Apollo, Christ, whoever you want to call it, you do your lesser banishing, and that's the evoking one. What do you want to invoke? So you can even repeat it again, the thing that you want to come into your life. If you want, it's up to you, though. You don't have to. That's not really something that's taught to do. It's just something I add to my ritual. But it's more important that you just do it. And then now depending on what you do, if you follow the book to a T, there's the meditation on a tarot card, meditation on a point, and then you would do your Kabbalistic cross, and then you would close your circle and declare the temple closed. So that's if you go by the book. For me, I never did my meditation on a point and my meditation on a tarot card. I never did that with my ritual. I kept my ritual separate from those two aspects. But in the book of All Great Work Self-Transformation, that's what it's said to do. That's following the curriculum. Now in the next grade, the elemental grade of Earth, the first grade, because Neophytes is at grade 0, it's just your introduction into it. And if you start that and you don't like it, you can stop, no worries. When you start doing the Earth grade, now you have to do, there's different things that come into play, and one is, some people call it open the watchtower. There's a similar, and then there's a greater ritual of the hexagram, which reduces Saturn's effect on you, which in turn reduces all the planets' effect on you, because he's the ruler of all the planets. So these things are huge. But what I started doing, even before I got into the elemental earth of grade, I didn't necessarily open the watchtowers as they explain to do in the book, but I would literally call the elementals, and I'd call the watchers to my circle. I have my own little type of ritual / ceremony / own script that I made, that I've done over and over and over again, just in that grade, because I think it's important, and it's something I learned from witchcraft to do. Different people do it different ways, and a lot of witchcraft borrows from ceremonial magic there for the opening of the watchtowers. But there's other people I saw just straight up call them to the circle, and then when you're done, you tell them to leave. You got to tell the elements and the elementals definitely leave. The watchers, who gives a fuck? But the elements and the elementals, you gotta go. And that's something you can do or not do. That's up to you. I incorporated it into my ritual when I was in my neophyte. When I got to the Earth grade, I would still do my little ritual or my script, calling them in, but I also did opening the watchtowers and everything else as well. So it just makes it a little more legit. And then you start getting into the fucking John D squares and the Enochian tablets and all that shit, and that's important to have in your temple. And this is why I say, when you're doing ceremonial magic, it's more structured, because you need to have a temple space. You can't just be like a witch who just wants to do their ritual anywhere. One day you might do it in your bathroom. Maybe in the wintertime you do it in your bathroom or your bedroom, but then in the summertime you go outside in your backyard, or you go in your garage. You can do that. You can do that if you're a witch, but you have to believe it's okay. With ceremonial magic, they want you to have a temple or at least an altar somewhere, and you go to that place steady. And there's reasons for this, and there's good reasons for it. Absolutely great reasons for it. Every time you do that lesser banishing in that spot, you're cleansing that place. You're lighting incense, you're lighting candles there, you're making it a sacred space. And it becomes your sacred space to call things into you. And then you can call things to you, such as manifesting or banishing things out of your life there, free from any interruptions from anything else. Now, if you're outside, who knows? There's things that can go wild. But most of the time, if you're a witch, you're not really worried about that, and you'd rather things, you know what I mean? It's just a little more unstructured, but you can do it. And I've done it. I've done both. Like, I got temples, but I do rituals outside. I go different places. I've been to places where I was a kid that I thought was cool and had these weird vibes. I remember having dreams about places when I was a kid. I went back there as an adult to do rituals and shit like that, because I feel like that's what I was supposed to do, And shit works, It's all about what you really believe, to be honest. If you think it's going to work, it's going to work. If you are in doubt, then nothing's gonna work until you get the proof, really. But but all that's being said is that, you know, ceremonial magic, hopefully I'm not saying ceremonial witchcraft, ceremonial magic is way more structured, and it's organized, and it's like you do this, do this, do this. So if you're someone who's not so much on that, which I'm not, I'm really fucking not, which helps me concentrate and be able to do, like, I gotta do this, I gotta do this. And in the beginning it was hard. There was a lot of times where I didn't do my adorations to the sun, I didn't do my meditation on a point or on the fucking thing, you know, on the tarot card. Like, I didn't do any of that shit. And, you know, then I felt like I had to play catch up after. And because of the fact that I was following a curriculum, and I thought if I followed the curriculum to the T, it would work, well, every time I didn't do something, I was like, fuck, shit's not gonna work now. This sucks. I fucked myself over. So then I have to go double as hard. So it's all about what you want to do. And I'm making this video just because, like I said, the person who sent those comments, I won't go into his name or other comments itself, but he wanted to get into magic. And so I'm just going to break down the differences between potentially doing some kind of witchcraft and ceremonial magic. Or you incorporate the both and you do ceremonial witchcraft. That's kind of what I do. And then eventually you get to the point where you can do everything in your fucking head and still manifest shit. But it doesn't mean you shouldn't go to your altar from time to time, that sacred space you made in the material realm, to do magic that affects the astral realm, because they're both equally important. So anyways, that's a little bit about that. I'm gonna come back on with something to say, but I wanna look something up first, and I want to see if I can play something that'll illustrate my point a little better. All right, so I hope everything I said up to now is helpful to anybody thinking about getting into magic. Like I said, it's mainly a lot of the information I've already discussed was mainly just, you know, to someone who left a comment asking me something, and, you know, I referred them to, well, I refer everybody to, if they seriously ask me how they could start this process, go watch the Mind and Magic channel, Mind and Magic, the Mystery School playlist. Get the book about Great Work of Self-Transformation. After that, I would say Birch. Go look at Uncle Birch just for some extra tweaks, because he might be witchcraft, but he has so many different types of things that might be called witchcraft, and different religions that are kind of not paganistic, is a bad way of putting it, but he's just a jack of all trades when it comes to, let's just say, witchcraft or spirituality. And I mean, a lot of the things he will tell you will be useful for ceremonial magic and processes, and a lot of just how to word your spells, because as a ceremonial magician, you are going to write petitions, is what they call it, but it's basically a fucking spell. It's basically a spell. And he's going to tell you how not to write certain things. Like I just said, not, you can't use that word. So anytime you write and harm none, that's terrible. Free from harm is a better way to go. He taught me that. Never use a negative word. I'm so grateful that I don't have any of this. That it's going to turn into, I'm so grateful that I have any of this, which most likely will give you the shit you don't want to have, right? So you don't want to use that kind of speak. And unfortunately, we use a lot of sarcastic kind of language, and I'm gonna fuck all this up. Everything I'm saying is going to sound like shit. We use a lot of sarcastic language. Anyways, that all being said, it was mainly just to focus on that, because, you know, generally if someone's got a question, a lot of people might be in the same boat, right? So anyways, all good. I'm going to switch gears. I know there was something else I was supposed to talk about, but I didn't go back and look. I started recording this yesterday, but a lot of things happened from yesterday to today, I'll be honest. But last night I watched a video from Woodward TV. Yeah, conspiracy. I know, right? Guys asking me, I got to get off the conspiracy junk. How do I start magic? Got any videos you can refer me to, and refer to somebody else? Then I go and watch some conspiracy shit. But I made a video about this a long time ago, okay? A long time ago. And I started recording my video last night, but like the first fucking 45 minutes, I'm just babbling on about a bunch of shit. So I'm not going to play all that. I'm going to play where it starts talking about the dude I present. There's a guy who goes through a timeline from, I think, the 1500s to the 1800s of what was happening, because this is all marked down. It's in our history log, or I don't know how you would call that, but every time there was comets and earthquakes and volcanoes and plagues and hysteria and different diseases and things that happened, and there was cosmic activity, this was all marked down, and it's still being marked down. So that's what I'm going to show you. Woodward TV is showing that all of these things were happening and during the early pandemic things. And what my my video was about this. I made the video before the pandemic, and I said it in it, and I'm not trying to toot my own horn, so don't think I'm trying to say I'm some fucking psychic. But I said I feel like something bad's coming. And so then I played this thing, and I said, I tried to link it to like the whole how they're doing chemtrails in the sky. And most people think that's to kill us, it's to harm us, it's to harm our food, it's for this, that, and the other thing. And people think it's to block out the sun, it's to stop global warming. I think it's to hide the fucking skies, so we don't see asteroids and cosmic rays and fireballs and all shit. That's my personal opinion. I can't prove it, but that's what I think. And that's why I played this video, because every time as above, something above is happening, something below happens. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with Woodward playing this thing about, well, the cosmic activity being, and it's still being recorded to this day, but they're not recording what happened at the same time. So it's going to say about asteroids and comets that came close to the Earth during the time of pandemic, when it first started. And then I'm going to play the old video that I made in, I think it was 2019 or 18. It was either 18 or 19 that I made this video. And it's talking about the past, and every time there was cosmic activity above us, shit happened on Earth. So, and the reason I'm playing this is because I think it's relevant to today. I think every time something happens up there, something happens down here. And if shit's happening up there, then maybe we should be looking to the skies a little bit. And I'm not one to peddle fear or try to get conspiracies going or anything like that. I'm not saying this is a bad thing or a good thing. I'm just saying anybody who's in hermetics, understand the rule as above, so below. Just something good to, just something, you know, good to keep in mind. Now, this is all speculation and just me fucking throwing shit out there, and you know, God only knows where I'm gonna go with it. But I still want to play all this for you, and yeah, we'll see where it takes us, and see what we can discuss and what we can figure out. All right, here we go.
So to get this started, let me just give you all a recap of what has happened regarding objects flying by us this year in 2020. Pay close attention to the names of these objects, okay? In January, potentially hazardous asteroid 2020 AN3 close encounter. Asteroid alert. NASA tracks monster space rocks close approach. NASA's tracking systems have forecast the space rock dubbed asteroid 2020 AQ1 will approach the planet shortly after midnight tomorrow, Monday, January 20th. Asteroid alert. NASA reveals major space rock set to skim Earth this weekend. The space rock known as 2020 AB2 is approaching Earth and will fly near to our planet on Sunday, January 12th. Asteroid up to 1,800 feet wide is one of the 14 to pass Earth this week. According to CNEOS data, the object 2019 UO is projected to fly by Earth at 9.4 kilometers per second on Friday, January 10th, 2020. February. Astronomers spy near-Earth asteroid that has its own moon, asteroid 2020 BX12. These binary asteroids traveled as close as 188,000 miles to Earth's trajectory. Massive asteroid will swing by Earth after Valentine's Day. The asteroid, known as 2002 PZ39, has been tracked since its discovery in August 2002. And its orbit and trajectory are well known. Observations of this particular passing begin by the Arecibo Observatory in Puerto Rico, February 11th, and will continue through February 17th. Asteroid alert. NASA tracks a 557-foot asteroid on Earth, close approach. But will it hit? Officially known as asteroid 2020 BR1. The rock will approach Earth on Sunday, February 23rd. Near-Earth asteroid 2020 CG2, very close encounter, February 16th, 2020. 8 asteroids NASA spotted this year heading for Earth, close encounters. It will zoom past Earth at a distance of more than 3 million miles on February 8th. The smallest asteroid is called 2020 CF and is just 20 meters wide. It will pass Earth at a similar distance on February 12th. None of the rocks will hit us, and the closest approach will see a rock called 2020 BK10 come within 500,000 miles of our planet's surface on February 10th. An asteroid with Earth-destroying capabilities is on its way towards Earth. But should you be worried? The rock called 2020 CH measures between 22 to 55 meters in diameter, making it a relatively small asteroid, but it is heading towards us at 21,100 miles an hour, and it's due to be seen tonight. This is for the month of March. A large asteroid ignored social distancing norms over the weekend. There was never any threat the asteroid known simply as 2020 FL2 was going to hit Earth. It passed by Sunday at a distance of 90,000 miles, 145,000 kilometers. 4 new asteroids are approaching Earth this weekend, says NASA. Earlier yesterday, NASA's Center for Near-Earth Object Studies, CNEOS, reported 2 asteroids flying by Earth in relatively close proximity, but thankfully, no disruption of life was really observed. Now, more observations made by NASA's CNEOS states that over tomorrow, March 21st, and Sunday, March 22nd, a total of 4 asteroids will approach Earth and are projected to fly by at close proximity, while the farthest of the 4 will be 3.5 million kilometers away from Earth. The closest will approach Earth at a distance of 7,013,000 kilometers, which in space terms is not really too far away. The 4 asteroids in question have been named by CNEOS as 2020 FK, 2020 FS, 2020 DP4, and 2020 FF1. The 2020 FK asteroid is the smallest of the 4, measuring just 43 feet in diameter. It is presently hurtling through space at a speed of over 37,000 kilometers per hour and will approach Earth from a distance of 1.36 million kilometers. Are you guys with me so far? Are you getting this all down? My God, we're still in March. How about we skim through the next 5 months? April. Big asteroid shows itself ahead of Earth flyby on April 29th. On Saturday, April 18th, the Arecibo Observatory in Puerto Rico captured a radar image of the asteroid 1998 OR2, which will zoom within 3.9 million miles of our planet on April 29th. May. Near-Earth asteroid 2020 KJ4 extremely close encounter, May 27, 2020. Tomorrow, the 28th of May, 2020, the near-Earth asteroid 2020 KJ4 will have an extremely close but safe encounter with our planet, coming as close as about 142,000 kilometers, 1/3 of the average distance of the Moon. June. Biggest asteroid to pass close and undetected this year. Asteroid 2020 LD passed within the Moon's distance on June 5th, but wasn't discovered until June 7th. It's the 45th known and the largest asteroid to sweep within a lunar distance of the Earth so far in 2020. Are you kidding me? The largest asteroid to pass close by us, and they didn't see it until after it passed? I'm no mathematician, but isn't that a little too late? July. An asteroid the size of a car just zipped by Earth in close flyby. A car-sized asteroid discovered over the weekend made a close flyby of Earth today, July 28, passing our planet at a range that rivals the orbits of some high-flying satellites. The asteroid 2020 OY4, which was first detected on Sunday, July 26, made its closest approach today at 1:31 a.m. EDT, when it zipped by Earth at a speed of about 27,700 miles per hour, according to the European Space Agency. The asteroid is just under 10 feet wide and posed no impact risk to Earth, but did approach the flight paths of geosynchronous satellites. My goodness. Okay, so August, a car-sized asteroid made the closest Earth flyby a space rock has ever survived. A newly discovered car-sized asteroid just made the closest known flyby to Earth without hitting our planet. On Sunday, August 16th, the asteroid, initially labeled ZTF ODXQ and now formerly known to astronomers as 2020 QG, swooped by Earth at a mere 1,830 miles away. That gives 2020 QG the title of closest asteroid flyby ever recorded that didn't end with the space rock's demise. That was last month. Now the question is, of course, after hearing all of that, is should we be concerned about these flybys? Yes. If I came to your neighborhood, your block, and said to you, there's a gang that's driving down the street doing random drive-bys, but don't worry, the bullets aren't going to hit you, would you just take my word for it? I mean, folks, these were just the flybys, the near misses. I haven't gone through the news about the objects that have hit us, not to mention the fireballs people have been sighting. See, the reason I bring this to your attention, and have been for some time, is because one day soon, very soon, a fairly sized metal rock is going to penetrate the atmosphere and cause some major damage. And I don't want everyone to, at that point, start keeping an eye out. No, I want you all to be awake and aware of this now, not after something happens. We have a lot more asteroids coming this month. That means more fireballs. That means more impacts. They are trying their best to suppress this news by telling you just about the asteroids that are not going to hit us. But they are not telling you or warning you about the ones that will hit us. And they know which is which. There's more to come on this. I just wanted to give you all a heads up on the things to come. And I don't want you to get caught by surprise when they do. So until next time, folks, take a closer look at this. And as always, stay awake, stay aware, stay safe, and I'll talk to you all soon.
Alright, so that was my man, Mr. Woodward TV. Yeah, I'm in my hot tub again. I shut the bubbles so shit. Alright, hear me. Oh, I get my fucking phone all wet. If I fucking drop this phone in here, I guess this video won't be published, but it's all good. So yeah, that's my house behind me. I'm gonna see a hot tub. Anyways, all good. So yeah, that was Woodward TV. This way I can see if the kids coming behind me stay out food. Pretty sick. That was Woodward TV talking about all the asteroids sightings, comet sightings, the weird names. I won't get into the names and the acronyms and the way they were, but I mean, I'm sure you can figure out kind of what he was getting at about some of those names. But this is recent. This is during COVID. This was happening in the skies. Now I'm out here with I was out here with my wife. She just went in. So, but previous to that, she's like, "Oh, look at the stars." The minute I look up the stars at night, it doesn't quite look like a shooting star, but it's not like in the daytime when you see a fireball. Now I've seen fireballs during the day. At night they look a little different, but it wasn't a shooting star, and it probably wasn't the fireballs I see during the day, but it was something else. And like I said before, like you'll hear me in this fucking I'm about to play from one of my older videos a couple years ago, talking about this. If I go outside any night and look up in the skies, I will see fireballs or shooting stars or some anomalies, and I've seen them in the middle of the day before. I'm not lying about this. And I wouldn't, because I'm not one to start conspiracies. I'm not one trying to get clickbait. I'm not one trying to make fucking popularity off videos through conspiracy. I don't believe in that. But when there's shit happening above us, shit happens below us. So the guy I'm about to play now, first it's gonna be me talking. I don't know how long. I might trim some of it off if it's all just gibberish nonsense. But the dude with the good information you're gonna hear, he first talks about some old maps and how the geography of North America has changed from older maps where there's no Great Lakes in Canada, and how California goes from a peninsula to an island back to a peninsula, meaning there's a connected part to the island, and there's a whole region where it looks like there's a bomb that went off, but before that wasn't there, and there was a lake Cannabi, something like that, that's no longer there. So something happened. That's the first part. But the part after that, which isn't very long, I think it's only about 8 minutes long, where he's talking about that, but it's interesting. It's the next part after that where he gives you the chronological order of sightings of what's happening in the skies, and then what happens down on Earth as a result of that, or just coincidentally, that I want you to listen to. I don't know if I'm going to chime in anymore. I'm gonna let the viewer decide probably on this, what they want to make up their mind about, because I don't want to push conspiracy and I don't want to push crazy theories, because like I said, Buddy sent me a message saying he wants to get off conspiracy junk and he wants to start magic, and I think that's the best bet. I think that's the best thing we can all do, regardless of what's going on around us, about COVID, about fucking asteroids and the times, about any of this shit. The best thing you can do is fix your own fucking life, by far. And sometimes that might be starting something like a spiritual practice, whether it's just meditation and breathing and exercise, or maybe it's straight up learning some of the old arts that we call magic or witchcraft, whatever the case is, or maybe it's going back to church, and maybe it's just trying to figure out what your passion, it doesn't matter. Whatever you think is best for you, you start on the path that you think is best. If you need help, you ask somebody who you think might be able to help you. But what I'm trying to say is, regardless of all this shit, last thing I want to do is promote a conspiracy fucking theory that I have no way to prove. So this is all speculation, conjecture, and everything else that goes along with those terms. Pick your synonym that means the same thing. But I just want to make this video because I watched that last night and something fucking clicked in me, and it told me to go, okay, you need to go find your other video. So I spent like fucking 30 minutes combing through all my videos trying to find my old video. Finally found it. Started recording it, realized the first 45 minutes I babbled on about stupid shit, and then finally got to the meat of it, but then fell asleep, left the recording on. So I got it, but I gotta trim it. But point is, I was led to dig this out. So whoever's watching me, some of y'all out here need to know this or need to see this again. Maybe you didn't see it before, but going by what Woodward just said, and then going back in time from 1500s to 1900s, realizing the same things been happened and recorded. So what Woodward presented was just the asteroids and comets that were coming close to Earth, nearby Earth, and might hit Earth. But they didn't say all the things that happened at the same time. But we kind of know what was going on. We know about COVID, we know about George Floyd, we know about Trump shit, we know about the QAnon, we know about all the things, craziness that was happening and still happening. Russia, everything else, right? We know about all this. So we only need to know what's going on in the sky, and we can fill in the blanks for the rest. But going back in history and realizing both what was going on above and below all at the same time, it's pretty illuminating. So anyways, without further ado, I'm going to get into the video, and if I don't come back on, thank you for watching. This is not to promote fear or conspiracy, it's just simply to bring some awareness to something I, a long time ago, was worried about. And this is before COVID, and like I said, I think you don't hear me say it. I think something bad's about to happen, and like I said, I'm not trying to toot my own horn and think I fucking predicted anything, because I had no idea it'd be a fucking plague or a virus, Jesus. But what I'm saying is, whenever I got when I found that video, and I can't find that video anymore, which I'd like to show you because the things he shows in that video is pretty cool, but all I have is the recording. I'm going to keep trying to find it. If I do find it, I will put it on my video so everybody can see it, but as of right now, I only have the audio. But the point is, way back then when I heard that, I realized I had to make a video about it. I need to release this information. I need to help move it on, pass it on. Like I said, this guy comes from a Christian background, talking about rapture shit and whatever else. And I say it very clearly to not take his point of view, but he did a really good job on the research and putting things together. Now his programming is going to make him believe that whatever he has to believe, and I don't judge him for it. It just is what it is, right? But point is, if I don't come back on, I appreciate you guys watching this. It's not to scare anybody. It's not to start a conspiracy. It's simply just to, so we're all on the same page. As above, so fucking below. Skies and all that. But to me, the main thing we should focus on when it comes to that, once again, is just the fact that they're doing something wrong to us, then it's not right. But the fact that they're covering up the skies and trying to block out the sun rays and trying to make it colder because of global warming and all this is not true. But the true fact in there is that they are trying to cover something. And I've been feeling like that for a while. Now, I find it very hard to find the moon some nights because of all the cloud coverage. I find it very hard during the day sometimes to see the sun and stuff like that. Days where I think we have natural clouds, where there's lots of them, you don't see many planes. But days when it's a clear sky, I see a ton of planes out there. And then before you know it, there's clouds everywhere covering the fucking sky. I fucking can't stand that, for one. But with the lightning storm last night, and all you could see was the light flashes. You couldn't see the lightning bolts. And then I watched this thing. I watched Max yesterday, and then he plugs this channel, and then from there, and from there, I'm watching it, and I mean, I don't know if I'm gonna play the whole thing for you or not, because he gets into Aquarius, and he talks about angels coming back, and he talks about the rapture, and he talks about the Bible a lot. And he's got a very polarized, bad perspective, not bad perspective, but negative perspective, thinking, things are worse than they are and all that. And I don't believe Aquarius is coming for. And from there, I'm watching it, and I mean, I don't know if I'm gonna play the whole thing for you or not, because he gets into Aquarius, and he talks about angels coming back, and he talks about the rapture, and he talks about the Bible a lot. And he's got a very polarized, bad perspective, not bad perspective, but negative perspective, thinking, things are worse than they are and all that. And I don't believe Aquarius is coming for some fucking, gonna be some kind of kraken fucking octopus thing in the sky, Kronos or whatever, or Medusa, coming to fucking kill us or anything like that. I don't believe any of that. So that's why I wanted to give this big, long introduction / fucking, rant about it doesn't matter what you think, and don't take on other people's belief systems as your own. Make up your own conclusions, because once again, they're taking these facts and then they're twisting them and making them fit to something, And I mean, he's not completely wrong with the story we've been fed through the Bible and through other means. It certainly fits. The Bible, he's quoting directly out of the Bible in some instances, where it's just basically talking about the age of Aquarius coming and being the end of times, kind of, But there's other ways of perceiving it, and I've already put content on about that, meaning, when the Mayan calendar ended in 2012, was just entering the age of Aquarius. It didn't mean the end of the world or anything like that. It was just the end of the age. But point is, the fact that they cover up the skies, and I've checked recently, and I live in Cornwall, Ontario, and about a couple of months ago, we felt little tremors and stuff like that. I don't get hurricanes, we don't get tornadoes, and we don't get earthquakes. We'll get high winds, and I'll come to find out Ottawa, Montreal, New York State, somewhere had a tornado or a hurricane close by. Well, not really in New York for the hurricanes, normally somewhere, New Orleans, Mississippi, whatever, down there in that region, wherever you guys get hurricanes, Florida and all that, because we're directly above Florida. If I drive south for a day, I'm going to hit Florida, basically, from where I am. So Florida is directly south of me. Obviously, there's probably some kind of slant in there somewhere, but more or less directly south from me. So anything that happens in California, we don't really get the winds from that. That would be more the BC coast, the Alberta coast, maybe the Saskatchewan. But Manitoba might feel that too, because they're kind of like central Canada, even though we're considered central Canada, because the first 4 provinces are huge compared to Quebec's the biggest province,
and it's right beside Ontario, but then you have all these smaller provinces on the east coast. So they pick Ontario to be the middle. But technically, if you look at it, it would be somewhere on the fucking east side of Manitoba. That would be the center of Canada. But anyways, point is, with one about to play, he's going to talk about comets. Comets happening. He's going to talk about the moon being a plasma. And he's going to play somebody on there. He's going to plug somebody on there, a professor that proved it almost. They squashed it because they wanted to say there was a moon landing and all this. But talks about the fact that the comets and the tremors or earthquakes are related, and all these different events, things that happen in the sky, affect the things on the earth. And that's what I want you to gather from this. And the chemtrails and the covering up the skies and the clouds in the skies, to me, that's its main purpose, is to block whatever might be happening up there. Now, I've seen fireballs during the day, and that's the only thing I'm going to say it is, because I can't tell you if it's a comet, if it's an asteroid, if it's a solar flare. I don't know. But I've seen them. When the sky is blue, I've seen them happen before my eyes. And I've been seeing shooting stars at night. If I go outside for an hour and look at the sky, I can see a shooting star in my hometown if there's no clouds. Every night. Every single night. And I'm not trying to instill fear in anybody. I'm not trying to tell anybody anything. I believe these are cyclic events. I believe these things happen in cycles. And I believe we finally have the technology, or maybe we've always had this technology, and they just always use it, and they always just restart humanity in some kind of way. And by restart, I don't mean cataclysmic. I mean historically. It wouldn't be hard to change what's going on in our world. It wouldn't be hard to change people's ideas and minds and tell them what to believe and change everybody's beliefs. I don't mean a big cataclysm kills everybody off and they restart that way. I mean literally just generational teaching different stuff in schools and slowly changing what real history is. And right now, you can kind of see that. What's going on? Everybody's talking about we don't know our true history and thinking the government lied. So how hard would it be to come out with some disclosure and say, this is our history, guys. That's why we lied to you. Here you go. Bam. Here, you have it now. Now go off and tell everybody the good news. We finally got disclosure. And there's a reset. And that's our new history. Until 2,000 years from now, the people say, whoa, 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 whoa. This can't be the history. None of this makes sense. And then the same thing happens over and over again. Just an idea I'm punting out there, okay? To me, that's more likely than these events. But nonetheless, the fact that the skies, I'm looking at the skies right now, I can barely see blue. I'm covered everywhere. Everywhere. From real clouds to fake clouds. It's just absolutely covered. And the point is, if I urge you to look in your area to see the seismograph or whatever it is, the readings for earthquakes, and see how many little tremors are happening to you. And how many electrical storms you might be having, high winds, different things like that. He also correlates different physiological effects to the human body, such as headaches, fevers. It's crazy. It's pretty cool. I'm going to play it. I'm going to dissect it after for you and my view and my opinion. But it's pretty intense what he goes through. And I just want you to keep your minds open and not take what I'm saying as your belief and not say, this is what it is. You know, this is what's happening. Because in history, they did a really good job. This guy found all the comets. They fucking marked down all the comets that are happening. They marked down what was happening in the skies. All right, this guy has a good log of this. Once again, I'm not telling you this is real. I'm not telling you this is fake. I'm just telling you what it is. And it's a way to open your mind. And it's a way to look at it from a different perspective. Because feeding us these chemtrails and all this shit, you know, why would they keep allowing that to happen? Why would they keep allowing us to believe that we're being killed by our own government? They're just allowing us to spew this out. Why is that? Why is that? And the only thing I can come up with is they're trying to hide something else. Yes, let them believe we're trying to kill them. And make sure they don't realize that something else is actually happening. Because to me, what we're figuring out isn't the whole truth. They're spraying the skies, yes, but why? What are they covering up? What are these clouds meant to cover up? Why do these clouds start off with a little line and their main objective is to expand? Why do they crisscross? You know, why? Why do they want us focused on how much we're killing each other? How much evil? Why do they put someone in office in the United States, such as Trump? and they have all this Israel stuff, and Israel is ruling the world apparently, and that's why places like Palestine, I forget the name of the city, but they're being so oppressed because they don't want to give in to Palestine or to Israel, and Israel's the real leader of the world, so that's why everybody else is fucking with them and shit like that. It's all fucking to divert your eyes from space, from the skies. Everybody needs to start looking up. As above, so below. Everybody's focused on what we're doing to the earth and all that, but they're not looking enough as that. If you were actually focused on the earth, you would realize that all our fucking places where our garbage goes is fucking bullshit. You know, that's just pouring fucking garbage on top of the earth. If you ever go to your landfill, if you're one of those people that never seen your dump in your town, you should check out your dump in your town. You should really do that. Because I'm telling you right now, it's fucking disgusting. It's absolutely repulsive. And if you're in Canada, the United States, you probably got a pretty good system where they actually plant on top of it and put ground on top of it. But there's places in the world where they don't even do that, where they just dump it and leave it there for the seagulls and the pigeons and whatever to fucking eat at it. All right, now, no. And it's absolutely repulsive. If you watch some of these videos from this guy, he actually goes through some of those clips. But it's absolutely repulsive. Now, I've never been to those other places, so I can't tell you what those pictures are, if real or not. But I tend to believe that happens on a mass scale. I mean, the more we consume all these packaging and shit like that, the more garbage we're putting out there, the more we're putting this on the earth. Now, the earth can handle anything. You can bury your remains from your ritual, and they actually tell you to do that. What you can't burn, you got to bury. And the earth will decompose it. I mean, that's the point of compost. So I can't tell you for sure if this crap truly destroys the world or not. Because I tend to think the elements are pretty powerful. I tend to think the water's pretty powerful. I tend to think the earth is pretty powerful. We all know fire is fucking powerful. You can burn your garbage and it just completely disappears. And then, oh, wait, that's bad for the atmosphere. Oh, okay, so we'll put it on the ground instead. Yeah, that makes a whole lot of fucking sense. No, because there's no money in burning your garbage. There's money in picking up your garbage and putting it in a fucking landfill. Believe it or not, there's fucking money in that. But if you burn your garbage, there's no money in that. Some of these places, that's what they do. They burn the fucking garbage. The smart ones anyways. It's absolutely unbelievable. You know, and when do they talk about water? What's the substance in water? It's one of the dangerous ones. And I'm not talking about like oil spills and all that, but that certainly is one of them. Mercury. What is mercury? Air. What's the opposite of water? Air, right? Air and water are the opposites. And fire and earth are the opposites. So instead of burning your garbage, we're putting it on the earth. You know, what's damaging our water? You know, you can't eat too much fish. Why? Oh, yeah, watch out for the mercury you're taking in. Are you kidding me? Mercury's fuck. I'm not telling you the chemical mercury is good. I'm just saying mercury is your mind. I'm just telling you how they twist and fuck with everything and make it absolutely outstandingly stupid and fuck with people's mind. Because then people get into magic, you know, they think cancer. No, I'm a cancer. I can have cancer. No, that's not what cancer fucking means. They adopted that for a fucking reason. It's absolutely stupid what they did with that, but they adopted it. They're laughing at us. Like I said before, the medical staff's got the fucking snake of Scorpio, and the the cancer ribbon is the fucking Pisces fish, and then cancer, that's the other. They're all water signs. Your emotion, when you fucking fear you're going to get cancer, and you add the actual emotion of fear into that thought, that's how you get the fucking thing. They're just pointing it out to us, making it so fucking obvious. But anyways, I'm going to stop there. I think I said enough there. I'm going to play these fucking clips, and then I'm going to come back on. I got to make lunch for my girls there right now. But I hope you enjoy. Like I said, don't take his fear shit into account. Don't believe in all these Bible verses and all that. Take them for what they are. Okay? I'm not saying this guy's right. I'm not saying this guy's wrong. I think this guy did a great job of connecting dots and all that. And like I said, the best way to wake up people is to fear them into waking them up, honestly. If people are working their 9 to 5 and you put all this love and light shit out there, what's that going to do? It's going to do absolutely nothing. But if you finally get them to see that something is wrong, if you get them to fear their future and want to do research and then come to find that, okay, it's all a matter of perspective. They lied to us, and the story's different, and no, it's not real. And you got to find, that's how you do it. So once again, I'm not bashing this guy. I think he did a great job, and that's why I'm playing his video. And I'll put the link somewhere in the description for you guys, and I truly believe you should watch it. But I don't want anybody to adopt someone else's belief system. I don't think that's good for anybody. You take his information, you do your own research, as I did. I looked up that professor who talked about the moon being a plasma, and talking about all the laws of the universe and all that. And I'm looking up him right now, actually, or as soon as I get off of this, to get more information on him, because he seems like a hell of a man, and you know, probably a good chance that he ended up fucking being murdered or suicided or something stupid like that. But yeah, all the things that we're being allowed to believe, you know, like I'll just do one more, like 9/11. Why was 9/11 done so fucking obvious? And why is their main objective to point out how obvious it is? Well, because they want you thinking, okay, was it a plane crash? Was it a bomb? Was it all the above? Who did it? Why did they do it? Blah, blah, blah. They want you focused on all the details. They don't care if you believe that they did it or not. They just want you focused on the details and trying to prove how they did it, so you never come together and unite. And that's how polarized people are, because everybody that looks at it can almost agree unanimously that it was done deliberately by the government, by CIA, by FBI. Almost everybody come to that conclusion. But instead of being outraged and go against the government, being that September 11th is coming up real fucking soon, being that, and then the other thing you have to take into account was September 11th, okay? Set, right? Set, en français, numéro 7 is 7. That's Saturn, right? Saturn, 7. Now, it's the 9th month, that's why 9/11. And if you take 9 and you take that 2, take the 9 minus 2, it's fucking 7, is it not? Ho, people are doing the wrong numerology for this one, but well, maybe not wrong, but anyways, 7 is Saturn's number, you know, and we already pointed out the Jupiter the Saturn and Gemini, all that stuff. But point is, they want you focused on the details and fighting with each other to who wants to be more right. That's how polarized they have us against each other. That's what Trump's main job is to do. It's not to bring down the states. It's not to, I mean, he's going to probably do things, and he may come after magical practitioners and witches at some point to help polarize people in some way or shape or form. But to me, he's going to keep going after the bigger communities, because there's more polarity in there. His main objective is to separate the United States and essentially the world, to either being for or against him. It's kind of like Twilight. If you're a girl, are you Team Edward or Team Jacob? You know, of hockey teams, any fucking thing. That's polarizing. You're either for or against. You're in the group, you're out of the group. You either believe in 9/11 or you don't. And when you do, you either believe it was plane crashes and CIA inside job, or you believe it was, you know, insurance fraud. You know, it's just bullshit. And they got us so stupid and so dumbed down that we actually realize that they're doing this shit and we're not doing anything about it. We're fighting over the fucking details. Why the fuck are we fighting over details? Why aren't we saying, enough's enough? Why do all these innocent people have to die? And then we're going to fight over the details? How much sense does that fucking make? Honestly, I got tears in my eyes right now. I'm not even joking. It's disgusting that people die. And for what? To fucking polarize people? To get people against each other? To show that they have absolute power over us, that we can't do anything about it? Hell no. I don't know anybody that died in the World Trade, but I don't want any of them to die in vain. Not a single fucking one. Anyways, I had to make lunch, but I'll leave you on that note. Think about them this September 11th. And think about avenging them. I don't mean in a malicious way. I mean in a way that honors them. You know? Why are we fighting? I don't think any one of them would want us to fight.
Look at a rare collection of ancient North American maps from the mid-1500s to the early 1800s, which reveal a chilling story of at least 2 massive cataclysmic earth changes. One major event in the mid-1600s turned California into an island and later back into a peninsula. It also split a single giant lake in Canada into what is now Lake Manitoba and Lake Winnipeg. This split appears to have caused the formation of the Great Lakes of the Midwest and thousands of smaller lakes just to their north. The second cataclysmic event of the early 1800s seems to have crumbled the mountains containing a massive ancient 3,300 square mile inland lake or sea, which was called Cannabis, creating the Grand Canyon, the Great Salt Lake, and all of the destruction we see in the southwestern United States, not millions of years ago, as we are told by lamestream science. Perhaps by coincidence or not, this massive sea was only about 100 miles south of what is now Yellowstone National Park. We are also told by lamestream science that it has been 630,000 years since the last Yellowstone eruption. Strangely, the trees in Yellowstone look to be very young, only a couple of 100 years old at best, but that's another story. Or is it? Let's take a look at the United States today, at least according to Google Earth. Have you ever noticed that the lush green United States looks like a 6,000 kiloton bomb went off right around Yellowstone and blew away everything to the south and west of it? Unless old man America just suddenly went bald there from aging, something just doesn't add up. By no coincidence, this is right where the Lake Cannabis was located on maps up until the early 1800s and never seen again after. This lake or sea, Cannabis, was 130 miles long by 111 miles wide. You can still see the heart-shaped imprint of it on Google Maps today, which matches the same shape the ancient cartographers used on their maps. You'll also notice that both the Grand Canyon and the Glen Canyon start clearly at the perimeter of this ancient dried-up lake bed. Another coincidence? Researchers of the mud floods and Tartarian destruction might recognize where this is going. But Sherman, let's set the Wayback Machine to 1544 and see what the early explorers and cartographers had to say. They were the Google Earth of their time, after all. On these maps before 1650, notice California as part of the mainland, Lake Cannabis to its northeast, and the remarkable absence of the 5 Great Lakes in the Midwest. We can see that cartographers from the 15 and 1600s already possessed very detailed knowledge of the towns and peoples in these lands, yet failed to map or mention the biggest lakes in the world. Then when did they appear? Where did they come from? And what massive event created them? Suddenly, sometime around the mid-1600s, the Great Lakes appear out of nowhere, and California is now an island that ships can sail completely around. How did that happen? From 1650 up until around 1810, the Great Lakes are consistently shown, but we can see that some of the maps show California as an island while others still show it as a peninsula. At this point, we must emphasize that plagiarism was the norm in cartography, so we have no way of knowing what and how much are copied from earlier maps. These are obviously not the only maps in existence for that time period. Other maps may come up showing there were Great Lakes indeed mapped at that time, in which case the Great Lakes theory would be out the window. It is just that, a theory. But one thing that really stands out is that Cannabis was clearly there right up until around 1810, as was California, an island. On the maps from 1810 and onwards, Lake Cannabis is nowhere to be found. The Great Salt Lake appears west of where Cannabis used to be. California is no longer an island, and maps are lacking any detail of the whole area. Something drastically changed the topography of the land. But what? In Part 2, we'll examine the comet records and also the slew of bizarre electrical atmospheric phenomenon, earthquakes, volcanoes, plagues, and other strange events happening worldwide at exactly these same time periods. Stay tuned. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. In part 1, we looked at a chronological series of ancient maps that suggest at least 2 major geological upheavals and topography changes to the United States. The first sometime in the early to mid 1600s, and the second in the first decade of the 1800s. I know, we would have been told about this. Our kids feel the same way about it. Objective and subjective reality can often be 2 different universes. Anyway, we touched on the possibility that a Yellowstone eruption may have taken place around the early 1800s, along with the crumbling part of a mountain range 100 miles south of it, which freed and spilled a colossal ancient lake known as Conibus, creating the Great Salt Lake, the Grand Canyon, and all of the geological destruction of the Southwest. We are left with the glaring question, if these events occurred, how and why? It might seem that the comet records of those centuries is an odd place to look for such clues, but as it so happens, they reveal incredible evidence of almost supernatural electromagnetic atmospheric phenomenon, comet appearances, meteors, plagues, disease, supervolcanic eruptions, and major earthquakes of almost biblical proportions happening worldwide in exactly those 2 time periods. Our first question is, do comets, plasma discharges, and electromagnetic atmospheric anomalies have any correlation with superquakes and volcanic eruptions?
Why, yes they do, Bob. Thanks for asking.
But rather than do our nuts in with the pontificating mumbo-jumbo lingo of the National Academy of Sciences and the AGU 100 Advanced Earth and Space Scientists, we'll leave links for those of you nerdy types interested in the details. To sum up in semi-understandable language for the rest of us, basically studies were done in the Izu Island region of Japan, which confirmed the existence of SEMS, or seismo-electromagnetic effects, which is a sciencey term for physical, electric, and magnetic field disruptions, which happen a month before major magnitude 6.0 earthquakes and volcanic eruptions, which build in intensity and culminate to a peak just hours before these quakes and eruptions. There seems to be a which came first, the chicken or the egg debate in the scientific community. Are the earth changes below causing the magnetic and electrical field changes above before these events, or the other way around, or both? Whichever it is, the correlation definitely exists. Could comets and electromagnetic atmospheric phenomenon from above affect seismic activity below? Before we blow our minds with the year 1816, known as 1800 and frozen to death, the infamous Napoleon's comet of that time, and the New Madrid quakes of 1811 that decimated 5 Midwestern states, let's go back to the late 1500s through mid-1600s and have a look at the freakish phenomenon going on at that time, not just in America, but all around the world. 1582, comet, earthquake near Lima, a tempest or violent windy storm in May. 1583, earthquake in England. Not London, the whole of England. The plague sets in. 1586, comet again. Earthquake in Lima again. Plague in Turkey, locusts and plague. 1590, comet. An earthquake shook Europe and also the Azores. Europe? All of Europe? What kind of event shakes all of Europe? There was a plague in Finland and pestilence. 1593, comet, earthquake in Persia, severe winter in 1594. Pay attention to these severe winters in relation to these patterns. Their relevance will become apparent soon enough. 1597, comet, pestilence and great plague in England. Cannons were fired and aromatics burned to shake and purify the air. 1599, comet, plague in Italy, Portugal, and Spain. 1600, comet, earthquake in Italy, pestilence everywhere that scourged Europe for some years. 1607, comet, great atmospheric commotions, here we go, swell of the ocean and rivers, sea levels rising, floods, Great Lakes, anyone? A winter of uncommon severity followed all over the world. The whole world? Was this Halley's Comet? 1609, comet, another earthquake at Lima, eruption of Mount Etna, plague, sailors seized with calenture, which is a delirium normally suffered in the tropics, electromagnetic interference of brain function, perhaps? 30 dead bodies in one day thrown overboard in Sir Thomas Gates' fleet bound to Virginia. Dead from what? Delirium? Neptune, the god of the sea, and Jove, which is Jupiter, the god of thunder in the sky, were on bad terms all year. This means fighting or catastrophic weather. So rough were the waters that it was many years before sleek Panope, who is a female spirit of the seawater that accompanies Poseidon, would gamble on the level brine again, meaning there were no calm sea waters for many years. 1612, comets. Storms at sea laid 2,000 dead carcasses on the English coast, 1,200 on the Dutch shore. A plague in Constantinople destroyed 200,000 people. In summer, Europe was covered by grasshoppers. It is a known fact that electromagnetic waves affect grasshoppers and locust swarms. EME complexes are fitted to vehicles and unmanned aerial vehicles today just to combat flying locusts in transit. So what drove them all into Europe? 1614, comet, suspected eruption of Mount Etna. 1618, 2 comets, earthquake in Rhetia, Switzerland, hurricane in Bermuda. 1620, comet, followed by cold winter, violent storm and tides. 1625, comet, eruptions of Hekla in Iceland and Palma in Spain. 1632, Mount Vesuvius lost 200 feet of altitude by burning. Earthquake of Naples. 1633, comet again, another severe winter afterwards. Etna is volcanic for 5 years and an earthquake in London. 1635, comet, another eruption of both Vesuvius and Etna and earthquakes. In America, a memorable tempest. Now, how windy and violent does a storm have to get to be memorable 200 years later? 1638, earthquake in Calabria destroyed 30,000 lives. Also extensive earthquakes in America in June. America? Not Delaware, but known America? Tremendous storms of wind in autumn. In 1639, swarms of small flies on the sea near the coast. Like all insects, flies are affected by electromagnetic fields. 1640, a remarkable meteor in America at great elevation early in the morning. Very curious meteors seen at Boston the following years. Curious, as in not expected. 1647, comet, earthquake in America. America? Where? All of settled America? Plague in London, and in America influenza was general and very fatal. 1652, another comet. Earthquake in South America, another eruption of Mount Vesuvius. 1658, earthquake in America. 1661, comet and earthquake the next year in America, followed by the Great Plague of 1665. Aside from putting the modern-day man-made climate change hysteria into a different perspective, I don't know about you, but I find it strange that comets, earthquakes, volcanoes, plagues, strange brain diseases, raging floodwaters and seas, and electromagnetic-affected insect swarms seem to all get out of control around the same periods of time together. Coincidence? Perhaps. But what we should be asking is, with all of this electromagnetic and geological turmoil going on worldwide, is it possible or so far-fetched to suspect a combination of, or even one major cataclysmic event around the same time may be the reason the maps look so drastically different afterwards, perhaps causing the formation of the Great Lakes and turning California into an island? Let's jump forward to where things get really crazy. We're talking Twilight Zone crazy.
Yes, you just crossed over into the Twilight Zone.
1786. The early part of the year was cold. Aurora Borealis, April 29th. A flood, November 5th. This is not impossible, though it is very rare. The scientific explanation for Borealis is that charged solar particles interact with the Earth's magnetic fields and collide with gas particles that cause the characteristic glow. They tell us this happens at the magnetic poles constantly because the magnetic fields are stronger there. They are usually green due to collision with oxygen particles, but exciting different gases can produce different colors. What is interesting is that suddenly Borealis will start to be seen in England and the United States leading up to the 1812 event. So what was going on with the magnetic fields on the Earth at that time for this rare phenomenon to start being seen more often? 1787, comet Aurora Borealis on St. Paul's Day. 1788, 2 comets. The autumn was very tempestuous and hurricanes in the West Indies. On the 17th of October, a remarkable meteor in Connecticut. 1788, a singular halo in Connecticut, 28th of May. On the 27th, there had been fine auroras again. A remarkable black spot was seen on the sun the 9th of November, and there was famine in America. Earthquakes closed the year, and a remarkable cloud, light, and storm. 1790, 3 small comets, earthquakes in Africa, and in 1791, an earthquake felt at Lisbon, and Aurora Borealis in October 1790. 1792, another comet, earthquake felt in Perthshire, and a comet again in 1793. 1794, right after this, the crops fail in England. 1795, Mount Vesuvius broke out in flames on the 15th of June, and in America, a species of headache with vertigo became epidemic. He says no bleeding, opiates, nor aperients, which are constipation drugs, had any effect on these headaches. Meteor, September 9th. Could this be an electromagnetic atmospheric disturbance causing this strange epidemic? 1797, 2 more comets. Hydrophobia epidemic in Rhode Island. Suddenly everyone is afraid of water. Do they have rabies? What on earth was going on to affect brain physiology? 1798, comet, a severe winter followed. There's that cold again. 1799, 2 comets, storm of wind and severe early winter. 1800, violent storm of wind, chimneys blown down at Hackney. Floods at Martin Moss. 1801, comet, much flooding in December, early snowfall and cold winter. Again, Aurora Borealis in September. 1803, comet and great meteor in November. 1804, comet, northern lights on St. Cecily's Day. 1805, 2 comets and a curious vortex, like a vapor on elm trees, which turned out to be insects. The bugs are going crazy again. 1806, and here is the curious bit. I shall now be more brief in my notes, as the journal from this period has been published already by me in my book on atmospheric phenomenon in 1823. So what kind of atmospheric phenomenon was going on in this period that deserved a detailed section and an entire book on the subject? But I digress. 1807, comet. 1809, comet, the cornfield strewn by tempests in September. 1810, comet. In autumn prevailed a bilious epidemic with hypochondriasis, which is chronic health anxiety. The whole summer had been unhealthy, and get this, the atmospheric electrometers had indicated a peculiar fluctuation of the electricity of the air. Oh, really? The clouds exhibited all the year the most whimsical and grotesque figures, and my aerostatic experiment showed various currents at once. Really, you don't say. 1811. Comet with very brilliant tail, the largest seen for many years. See my journal for that month in Atmospheric Phenomenon. This comet was visible to accurate observers from May 1811 to July 1812. Electricity disturbed and clouds had very strange shapes. Pestilence in the south of Europe and Asia, and another comet recorded. We'll get right back to this comet shortly, dear viewer, for this, I believe, may be our culprit for 1812. But it is worthy to note that from this point on in his records, there are annual comets, diseases, and epidemics mentioned through 1834, but suddenly no more strange light phenomena, no earthquakes, floods, tempests, or volcanic eruptions, with the exception of one earthquake in Scotland in 1817. As we mentioned earlier, there is a correlation between atmospheric electrical phenomenon in the ether and geological disturbances such as earthquakes and volcanic eruptions. Could these comets be the cause of all of the aforementioned atmospheric electrical phenomenon in the ether in those time periods, triggering all of the auroras, earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, brain disturbances, and even the plagues and epidemics of the time? In the Part 3 finale, we'll revisit 1811 through 1816, the appearance of Napoleon's comet, the wars and revolutions going on in every country on Earth at that time, the New Madrid quake that decimated 5 U.S. states, and the possibility of a major Yellowstone eruption that may have drained Lake Connibus and shifted enough landmass to join California back to the mainland. Stay tuned. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe.
Just subtitles and all that, but it's definitely worth checking out. But it's pretty dark and gloomy, pretty fear-based stuff. But you should check it out. I'll put the links up for it.
The result is
this is important.
And we expect
Professor Foster. Here we go. Here comes Dr. Foster. Professor Foster.
Now, one thing, you have a theory about the moon, and we expect to be able to get observable facts about the moon fairly soon. What is your theory?
Well, it is by now rather more than a theory. 10 or 11 years ago, I stated to various scientists that the moon is not a piece of rock, but it is plasma phenomena, cosmic plasma, and that this fact will eventually be confirmed. I made certain predictions which were already confirmed in 1958, and the situation now is coming close to a complete confirmation.
What will be the result if you are proved to be correct in your theory?
The result will be profound and decisive, because it will give proof that a complete reinvestigation of the laws of nature is necessary. Because if the moon is a plasma, no man will ever land on it. The soft landing attempts will all fail. That means that the mass of the moon is far less than is currently assumed. It's in a different state of energy, and it has far less mass. That means there is no more explanation for the tides. If the moon, for example, had only 1,000th part of its current mass, then the tides would only be 2 inches high under conventional theories instead of sometimes thought in be. And that means that if it is proved that the moon is a plasma, then all gravitational theories are out, and a new concept of the cosmos and of its laws has to be evolved.
Aren't you being a bit adventurous, though, because you know we're going to be able to test out your theories on the moon fairly soon?
Well, not anymore. 11 years ago, of course, it was rather taking a risk. I was considered a lunatic, of course, but by now the evidence, accumulated evidence, is already so much in my favor that I'm not taking any risks anymore. On the contrary, there is scientific views expressed all over the world now that the moon seems to be of a quite different nature to what was assumed. And
the Americans and Russians are thinking of landing men on.
well, that will never happen. Not on the moon. On Mars, on Venus, and other planets, yes. But the moon is definitely, as I assert, a plasma.
If Professor Foster is right, could the moon be cold plasma or ice-coated plasma? Were the ancient sun worshippers? Or sun watchers? All cultures feared the sighting of comets for good reason. Comet sightings have often accompanied disasters, earthquakes, wars, famine, and plagues. Yet NASA claims that comets are just small, icy town-sized snowballs flying through outer space.
Snowballs. Snow can't exist.
It snows in space.
Water. What's water?
From
H2O.
what clouds?
There's no oxygen in space. So you can't have water in
Comets
space.
never
The
pass
sun
by
is hydrogen,
any
but
closer
space
than
doesn't have hydrogen.
15 million kilometers away.
It's fucking what they teach us in school. I should tell you something right there.
Temple Tuttle was the closest recorded, an alleged 3.5 million kilometers away. How can a 260 square kilometer snowball cause so much carnage from millions of kilometers away? It can't, unless comets are not space snowballs that cause chaos, but rather electromagnetic plasma phenomenon in the upper atmosphere that accompany it. A strange cosmology war is currently raging. One side claims we live here, spinning upside down and around while zooming trillions of kilometers per hour. The other side claims that we live on a flat, round plane at the center of a toroidal field, like this map. Suspended in infinite space or water. Both sides agree on one thing. The Earth's atmosphere has a propensity towards constant electromagnetic plasma buildup and discharge. Aurora Borealis. Ball lightning. Red sprites. And all of these other plasma phenomenon. Are space snowballs a lie to hide the true nature of comets?
Leave me alone! We trace the call. It's coming from inside the house. Ask my brother right now. Just get out of that house.
15 million kilometers away? Or electromagnetic plasma phenomenon coming from inside the house, our attic?
Might be the blood cash every once in a while.
The Mayan calendar. Cthulhu. Quetzalcoatl. The Demogorgon. The fog. The mist. Medusa the Gorgon. Kali the Destroyer. Shiva the Destroyer. Kronos the Destroyer. Thor. Modern and ancient mythologies are obsessed with world-destroying sky gods wielding fire, lightning, tentacles, and snakes. Religions are riddled with past and future apocalyptic stories and predictions. Native cultures are obsessed with fire rituals. Are these myths and traditions just metaphors for very real and terrifying cyclical events they experienced? Reminders for us to watch for signs and prepare? The Pope's sundial in St. Peter's Square. A bit overkill for a wristwatch, don't you think? Unless it's called a watch because we are watching for something specific. Maybe they just had to be at work by 9:30 in the morning in 1550 BC. Or maybe they were watching closely for the shortening of days. The Georgia Guidestone's post-deluge instructions maintain humanity under 500 million in perpetual balance with nature. The Great Year.
With all of the ages, the astrological
We entered into the age of Aquarius in 2012.
We place ourselves right at this position right here where it says 0 years BP. BP means before present. And it also is 25,920 years. So
What is the Son of Man, and why are the biblical Gospels of Luke, Mark, John, and Matthew so terrified of its return? The Son of Man is the current astrological age of Aquarius, the water bearer. The Son of Man has often been termed the water of life. The Son of Man in man demands his own. His cry is, "Cease torturing me, cease wasting." Atonement, the action of making amends for a wrong or injury. Planet Uranus, NASA CGI, magically affecting us from 3 billion kilometers away. The actual wandering star Uranus, filmed with a Nikon P900 home camera. 3 billion kilometers away with a home camera? Uranus's journey through Aries is affecting the opposite sign, Libra. The scale pans are wobbling and the balance point is quivering. The Earth's balance is being checked by the mighty cosmic power. Now we understand the real symbolism of this Masonic artwork. In its readjustment, some parts of the Earth will go down, while at the same time new islands will appear and continents will rise. The whole Earth will be purified, restored, and refreshed, and there shall be a new heaven and a new earth. This will be literally and physiologically true. Plato's description of Atlantis. The Ricat structure in Mauritania, Sahara. Probably just coincidence. The 1606 Mercator Arctic map shows an enormous island called Friesland, due west of Iceland, just south of Greenland's southwest indent. It had 6 major cities, 3 small towns, and its own coastal island chain, and a partridge and a pear tree. It was so important to the region that Mercator gave Friesland its own blow-up in the upper map corner. Van Dodecam put Friesland on his 1605 map. Same place, same shape, same name. Plancius put it on his 1605 map. D. Jode, 1593, Friesland. Google Earth 2019 underwater. Due west of Iceland, just south of Greenland's southwest indent. Friesland. This is the truth, whether we think of Abel's lamb or of patriarchal sacrifices or of that great sacrifice of which they all testified. They all with one voice tell us that atonement made is the only foundation of blessing. As we discussed in part 1, cartographers before the early 1700s all insisted that California was a giant island spanning the length of western U.S. and halfway up Canada. Solarius certainly knew. The highly detailed 1702 Scherer map also corroborates. Unmistakably an island. And now, not so much. In fact, when we look at Africa, we see the exact same thing as the southwest U.S. This time, an elongated blemish with a bulging southeast side. also with major geological desert and destruction to its southwest. But before 1660, it was Lake Zembre on every map. Lake Zembre is always right there, due west of the northern tip of Madagascar, just southwest of Lake Victoria. Need more proof? Look at these. All that's left of it today is a huge dry scar on the African continent. Whatever happened in 1660 and 1812 in the age of Pisces that changed entire continents and drained at least 2 enormous lakes wasn't even worth warning about in biblical scriptures. In Luke 22:10, Jesus told his disciples how to know when he was coming back. Behold, when ye are entered into the city, there shall a man meet you, bearing a pitcher of water, Aquarius. Follow him into the zodiac house where he entereth in. In the book of Revelations, we find yet another mythology of a vengeful sky god coming to destroy the wicked before a new golden age can begin. This sky god has eyes of fire, the voice of many waters, and a sword coming out of his mouth. He's the beginning and the end, or really the end and the beginning, with an army of angels trumpeting terrifying noises from the sky as they come down to kill the wicked. Aquarius is associated by Kabbalists with the 14th letter N, or Nun. This letter literally means Jesus, or fish. In the biblical story, Joshua was the son of Nun, and Joshua is the origin of the Latinized form Jesus. Therefore, Jesus also means fish. It is common knowledge that the fish has been the esoteric symbol for 2,000 years for the Son of Man. But if Aquarius brings in a mighty golden age, why are Matthew, Mark, John, and Luke so terrified of the return of the Son of Man, Aquarius? Cleaning the house involves taking out all of the trash. Bible quotes sound better in the Queen's English. I'll try my best.
No one knows about the day or the hour, not even the angels in heaven, nor the Son, but only the Father. Therefore, keep watch, because you do not know the day or the hour. You also must be ready, because the Son of Man will come at an hour when you do not expect him. It was the same in the days of Lot. People were eating, drinking, buying, selling, planting and building. But the day Lot left Sodom, fire and sulfur rained down from heaven and destroyed them all. It will be just like this on the day the Son of Man is revealed. As it was in the days of Noah, so it will be at the coming of the Son of Man. For in the days before the flood, people were eating, drinking, marrying up to the day Noah entered the ark. And they knew nothing about what would happen until the flood came and took them all away. That is how it will be at the coming of the Son of Man.